Well, good afternoon there, YouTube, America, my hometown of Mitchellville. Yeah, this will be installment number 5, I believe. Uh, we got a little bit of a different topic to talk today. Of course, like I said, I've seen a few more extra hits on the videos. Nobody's paying all that much attention, but some people do. If you have been watching, you'll know that I've been out out of prison about 4 weeks now. Been working real hard to turn my parents' property back into what a decent property that anybody could be proud of. My wife and we've really worked hard. Uh, 7 piles of brush and garbage was burnt. We've went through 2 boxes of trash bags. That's about 100 trash bags, I believe. Well, it's just I can't tell you how many pounds of metal and junk material I've stuck out on this free pile. Lots of folks come along and benefited from it. I'm grateful for everybody that's come out, taking advantage of picking up some of this stuff. It was stuff we didn't have to haul off to the dump or thrown away someplace. If it can be reused or revitalized, then that's a good thing. That's something that's our country is really bad about is this throwaway mentality that we've developed. Buy something, dispose of it, buy something to replace it. It's part of the economy. It is what that is. I don't need to tell you all that stuff. I want to tell you that my family moved to this place in 1972. I was 6 years old. I met some of my most important friends when I was growing up. Of course, they've all went on their way, and I went my way, and we made some decisions, and theirs were better than mine. Uh, my family been here since that day. Always considered it home. My mother plans to die in the house. My father did. Uh, the town only has to put up with my family for another 5, maybe 10 years. Mom's got lymphatic cancer. She's had it for a year now, and she has to do chemo every now and then to keep it in check. But if you do your studies, you'll know that that sort of stuff does not lend itself to a long, fruitful life. She's in her 70s, so we'll be blessed if she makes it into her 80s, and I pray every day that that happens. Uh, I don't live here. That's important for me to tell you that. I'm not allowed to live here because of the Iowa State's registry laws, residency laws, not the registry laws, which are actually pretty damn vague. What constitute a residence? Well, according to the Department of the folks who put that out there on the internet, and I've Googled it, I've done my homework, I've read the stuff. It's where a person sleeps. It's not where he spends his time. It's not where he eats or where he showers. It's not his relatives. It's where he sleeps. And, well, my mobile home is this station wagon of my mother's and has been now for 2 weeks. It's actually fairly comfortable, although it is small for a man of my size. Uh, I leave here every day. I go someplace where I'm legally registered to stay. I sleep homeless. That means every Wednesday I go to the courthouse bright and early in the morning to reconfirm that that's where I'm at. The law enforcement people, they can come by at any time at that location in a given series of time and find me there. Now, the residency law doesn't stipulate that I have to be there between this hour and that hour, only that that's where I sleep. And with my new job, the hours are all over the place. I can work the day shift, I can work evenings, I can work nights, I can overflow, go to work at 7 in the evening, get done at 4 in the morning, go to work at 4 in the morning, get done at noon. So I'm all over the place. In those hours between sleeping and working, I do come to my mother's house here in my hometown. Uh, my wife and I got married about 25 years ago, and so we've been together about 27. Her birthday today. Happy birthday, Brenda. I love you very much, and I'm very grateful that I have you in my life, and you've suffered way too much because of my inactions and my poor decisions. You know, just yesterday, she had a friend or some people she had thought were her friends for a long time suddenly woke up and realized that I'm I'm here and I'm out of prison. I'm home. Well, I'm not home because I don't live at this location. So my home is this car. But what they say is home is where your heart is. And the registry, the legality for the paper for the law stipulates where the person sleeps, not what he or she constitutes as home. It's a small paragraph, but and it's very strange. I acknowledge that. Uh, I can't loiter at a lot of places, but I'm not loitering here. And their definition of loitering doesn't come anything close to what I've been doing at my mother's house. And I'm nowhere near a daycare center or a school. And even if there had been one across the street, I'm not loitering by the definition that they put on the internet by that term. I've been working, I've been visiting, been helping out. I run errands for my mother. I help run errands for my wife. She's the one that lives here because of our situation. We're not able to live together, but we're still married. That that was a problem for her friend and a few other people in this town. They seemed to think that somehow or another that I should have just disappeared and never returned. And how they could figure that that was going to happen, I don't know, because my family's here. This is where my roots are, and I will be where my roots are because legally I have every right to be so. No different than you have a right to go to your parents' house or your kid's house or your neighbor's house and visit. That's what it is. It's a visit. Whether you're helping mow their lawn or paint the house or playing a game of canasta, uh, watching a little TV and having some good old conversation about the current political situation, you're allowed to do that. And so am I. You know, so we won't lay any names out because the people who are harassing and tormenting my wife because of her decisions, she took a vow. A lot of people don't respect those vows today, and she's one of those that did, for better or for worse. And unfortunately, I put that to the test. Like I said before, I'm not going into any great detail because, frankly, you don't need to know the graphic details. It doesn't serve any purpose to anybody. And perception and people's need to horrify things or make things more horrific than they are, being what they are. It doesn't matter what I say because the people are going to believe what they want, and the truth doesn't matter. The truth never did matter. That's one of the real hard facts about the sort of things that we deal with today. You know, uh, I can't emphasize that enough. And those out there who are playing and skirting these morality issues, stop. Seek help. Get away from what you're doing. Stop. Think twice. But here's the catch. Any one of us, and I do mean any one of you, could become a sex offender. Real easy. It's real easy to do. You lay your hands on the wrong person and they complain, then you've got to defend yourself. There's no such thing as innocent until proven guilty, not when it comes to certain classifications these days. And that's the truth, too. There's thousands of people out there, tens of thousands of people out there are getting hemmed up over petty stuff. And for every one really horrifically serious predator, there's 99 guys who made a mistake, that did something stupid, that were drunk or were stoned or were in some weird depressive funk. You know, I was in all those. I made a couple bad decisions, and those horrific decisions cost everybody that was dear to me everything. That was 14 years ago. My victim's moved on. She's married. She's got children of her own. She's cut ties with everybody that I know personally. Those of the friends and family that she still has contact with, I purposely avoid them. I'm not trying to reinflict myself on them or anybody. I keep to myself, to be truthful. Why my wife stuck with me, I have no idea. I asked her and asked her and asked her and asked her, and all she would ever say is, "I'm not like other people," or "I'm not like the other women," uh, and she's not by a mile. You know, she was a hard worker. Worked 20 years for Casey's. 20 years. They like that. Got an award for that. 20 years of sterling service. Less than 6 months later, they fired her. Her new manager and new assistant manager fired her. Now, it's because she's epileptic. They'll say it was over a sandwich. Nobody does 20 years in any business and gets fired over a sandwich. Stealing money? Burning the building down? Sure, okay. But over a sandwich? Come on, really? Really? What kind of place you people run in there? Anywhere else, somebody with a slap on the wrist, never stole a thing in her life, never hurt a person, showed up for time, was always available, worked a lot of hours that she didn't get paid for, couldn't ask for a more loyal employee, and you trump up some lame excuse. Now, the real problem is epilepsy. She's born with it. It was mild for a long time, but as she's gotten older, it's becoming a little bit more intense. I've actually seen her pass out and fall down, and it looks bad. And if you don't know what it is, you can panic, and it's fairly uncomfortable with the customers and stuff. I get that. It's understandable. How you went about firing her, that was just dirty pool. Dirty pool. There's no such thing as fair stuff, right? It's just like, her friend, her so-called friend, where she went up and she watched their dog, she cleaned their property, she mowed, she watered their flowers, she did all kinds of really, helpful, useful things, and believing that they were some sort of good friends. To me, that more sound like somebody taking an opportunity of somebody's good nature and exploiting it. But that's neither here nor there because they're not my friends, and frankly, I don't care. And I can tell you, whatever you think you're thinking, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You don't know me. You don't know the situation. You sure as hell don't know the details of the case that went down, because none of you really give a damn about that, do you? Do you? No. But I get that too, because before I went to prison, I didn't give a shit about what other people did either. I believed what I wanted to believe. I passed three lie detector tests that said otherwise. 3. They are not admissible in court, by the way. I had a public defender because my family used their money to hire a civil defender to help my wife and my daughter while I was incarcerated. Well, I went to prison, went to court and jail before I became incarcerated. When the cops asked me what happened, they spun up something that sounded pretty bad, and I immediately jumped on the defensive and said it was nothing like that. And I admitted to what did happen, and it was anybody could be in that situation. And once you're in that situation, it doesn't matter what the victim says. The victim can be on your side and tell you that you can argue all day long that you didn't do anything wrong. But the state, because they're obligated to do certain things, are going to land on you with both feet. I'm telling you that right now. You ever find yourself in this situation, keep your mouth shut, don't talk to nobody, talk to a lawyer first, and make sure it's not a public defender, because those people work for the same people that the prosecutors work for. They're two sides of the same damn coin. Because I'm telling you, out of the $6,000, and that's 6,000, not 600,000, in case some of you morons were, wanting to spin that out of control. $6,000 worth of restitution that I had to pay. $200 of it went to my public defender. I talked to my public defender for about 2 minutes in the 4 months I was sitting in county jail. When I asked her whether I should take the plea that they offered me, she said, "I can't give you any advice." Now I ask you, YouTube America, how is that a just system? How did I get justice? How did I get a fair trial? Now, let's also talk about when I was in the court, the judge said, 2 years. You'll do 2 or 3 years. When I went to Oakdale, that's the intake place for the Department of Corrections, they said, you'll do 2 or 3 years. And you'll go to treatment and you'll go home. I went to Clarinda for the first 7 years I was incarcerated, and I saw my counselor there, and the first thing he said, 2 or 3 years, they'll put you in treatment, you'll go home. 13 and a half years later, I discharged. I'm just saying. Now, they've tried to make a few changes and tried to make a few things fixed, but one of the problems is once they acknowledge that the system doesn't work, because of the nature of the beast, the politicians, they don't want to admit that they made a mistake, and they can't do it publicly, so they try to fix things behind the scenes, and it doesn't work very well. and they're afraid to come forward and put themselves out there because, hey, they got to get elected, and the last thing they want to be known by the public is that they're soft on sex offenders, and I don't see how that's soft if they're being realistic and reasonable, because some of the draconian system that we got today, we're one step away from putting a brand up on people's foreheads. Is that what we're doing, Christians? Christian America, is that how this works? Are we going to start branding men and women for their faux pas? It's just like I said, there was a time when a man could make a mistake and pay for it, which I did, and I did my time, and I did every damn penny of it, and yet there are still a percentage of people that are just damn determined to continue making people pay, because that's the nature of the beast. What do you do? Well, what do you do? Put yourself in my shoes for a moment. I'm going to be here to help my family, to help my mom. That means sleeping in a car 20 miles away. I'm legal, Mitchellville. Deal with it.